What's going on, guys? Today is November 25th, and today we're going to be talking about partnering with different record stores to get your physical media. It could be a vinyl, could be a CD, a cassette, getting any of your work into record stores. And this is something I've actually been actively doing for about 10 months now, ever since I got the shipments of my Unknown Advantage vinyl in. And I actually ordered that from Disc Makers. I think I've talked about this on previous workshop. Ordered that from Disc Makers, got 100 copies. And while I've had a lot of people buy them from Bandcamp, and I've sent them personally to some friends and family and people like that, I also have tried to get copies in different record stores. So a lot of this year, I'd say every week to some extent, I've been reaching out to different record stores, and I've been able to get the vinyl into over 20 different independent record stores throughout the United States and some in Canada. We got one in Australia, and I'm currently working to get one in Austria. As of like yesterday, I was actually talking to a record store in Austria to get a couple copies of Unknown Advantage in. Total side note, we still got about 15. I think right now we have 18, but we're gonna have about 16 or 15 here in a few days, because I already am gonna be selling more copies this week. But a few more copies of Unknown Advantage left. So definitely go get yourself a copy if you haven't already. My Bandcamp, anthonychurch.bandcamp.com, Unknown Advantage. You'll see the link to get the vinyl if you want. But I kind of just want to go over this article by Other Record Labels, which is a great YouTube channel, by the way. Go check them out. They give a lot of amazing game for independent artists and producers and just anyone that kind of does things on their own. It's like a DIY musicians type of channel. And I found this article that covers ways that you could partner with your local record stores. So it kind of covers ways to reach out to ones in your community, which for me, two of the ones in my community, one of them is Erie Street Vinyl in Massillon, and the other one is State Street Records in Salem, which are kind of like on opposite sides of where I live. So they're not like super far away. They're each about a half an hour from where I live. Those are two of the closer ones. And I've been able to get my vinyl into both of those by just going into the store and talking to the owner and doing it kind of face to face. All these other ones, I've had to reach out via email and really just introduce myself, send pictures, which we're gonna get into this stuff in a minute, but I just wanna let you know my experience so far. So I've been sending pictures. I've kind of been sending a template of the same type of email to everyone, but I kind of change it based on their location and who I'm talking to specifically. I have been waiting to send the link to the music until after they agree to hear it, which has kind of been an interesting method. It has worked for some and it hasn't worked for others. I've had people that got back to me and they said, next time send a link. And it's like, well, I put in the email, if you want to hear it, I'll send you the link. And then I've had other people that will ask for the link. To me, it's something that I'm kind of experimenting with, because I feel like I didn't want to bombard people with so much information all at once. And I sent like a couple little paragraphs. I'm not sending like a novel, but I kind of just made it optional. If they're even interested, I will send you a link to hear the music. So that was just kind of my thought process. But I want to go over this article because it kind of breaks down in 5 or 6 different points what you can do to ensure that you will be able to work with either your local record stores or record stores that are elsewhere that you might want to get your physical media into. So starting with number 1, this one is definitely very crucial. Number 1 is respect their time. Record store owners are busy. Don't just drop by unannounced with a stack of records. Book a meeting, even a short phone call or email asking for a good time to visit goes a long way. Ask permission. always check before launching into a pitch. Avoid busy times like weekends or Friday afternoons. And again, if you're not, if you don't live near this record store, phone call, email, but if you're close, just go in. Like, that would be my suggestion. All the ones that are close to me, which isn't a lot because I'm not in a huge populated area, I have tried to develop somewhat of a relationship with these individuals who own these record stores. So, and at Erie Street, like, for example, I knew the owner for, a year and a half before any of that. So that kind of helped. But yeah, I think the email route is my preferred route. I've done a few phone calls by the request of the shop owner, but I've always been starting with the email. I'm never leading personally with a phone call. I'm not a phone call type of person. But a lot of these record store owners are older people, which makes sense because they are from the era of physical media and vinyl and things like that. So there's not a lot of these shop owners that are young from what I've seen. A lot of them are older, and they might tell you to call them because that's what they're used to. It's just, that's how people communicated back in the day. I am not from that era. I am from the era of let's send a text or an email. We don't need to hop on a phone call. So that's just a preferred, communication method for me. I have no problem hopping on a phone call, but I only do it if they ask me to. If you are the opposite of me and you feel like maybe leading with a phone call is better, go ahead. But that's just not me. I am an email person and a text person, and I'm always, no matter what, even if it has nothing to do with creativity or music, I'm one of those people that's like, if we could get it done with a text or an email, we're not calling. Like, we're getting it done through text or email, because to me it's just simpler. Number 2, make it easy. Help them say yes by bringing everything they need up front. A press sheet or a one sheet with release info, pricing clearly defined with suggested MSRP and wholesale consignment terms, download codes for digital access. Offer consignment. Now, consignment is something I had no idea what that was before this year, I'm gonna be honest. But the more that I started talking to different stores, a lot of them, because of what I initially wanted to do is sell the LPs to people and get cash in return. Even if it was like a lesser amount, it didn't really matter to me. I didn't really know what consignment was, but then I started to research it more, the more that people were getting back to me. And this is what most record stores will do, especially for independent artists. They're not always gonna give you cash for your release because there's not really a guarantee they're gonna be able to sell your release because you're not a bigger name. So they will do consignment agreements, and usually it's about a year. It's anywhere from 6 months to a year is what I've found in most consignment agreements. They'll hold your record, they'll mark it at a certain price based on their inventory and just the way they value your body of work and the catalog of everything else that they have. And then if they make a sale in that 6 month or a year period, whatever it is, you will get the majority of whatever it is. So let's say if you're selling it for 30 on your website, they're gonna mark it at 35 to 40 probably. They're gonna take, that extra $5 to $10, and you're probably gonna get the rest. That's usually what these agreements have been, at least in my experience. So they're not really like super hard to understand. And then usually what I've been told is if they can't sell it in 6 months to a year, they'll give you the option of, they can send it back to you, or you can come pick it up, whatever, or you can just have it donated, which I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do yet with those, because I know there are gonna be some record stores that aren't gonna be able to sell my release. That's just the reality of the situation. Even people that, were super eager to have it, they might not be able to sell it because that's just the reality. I have had at least one record store so far get back to me and said they already sold both copies I sent, which is super awesome. Because that's the thing, you send to these stores, it's out of your control at that point. You're not going to be able to really push it too much. You can promote it on social media a little bit, but you're not gonna be able to promote it, especially if you're not really living around that area. But that's consignment, essentially. You know, I've had people pay outright and buy the records from me, but most people are doing consignment, and then you're just having to ship it out to them and, you know, deal with that agreement. So self-monitor inventory, visit the store regularly, which again, if you don't live near it, you might not be able to do that, but it says don't call and ask them to count your records. Use a spreadsheet to keep track of your retail placements. Show them you are serious and that you care about their business, not just your own. And yeah, I think that all kind of goes hand in hand. And I've definitely been keeping track of who I've been sending to, making sure to not reach out multiple times to the same person accidentally. So I've been keeping track of the email addresses and really just who I've been reaching out to make sure I'm not like double dosing, if that makes sense. Number 3 is be realistic. You're not the only one trying to get your record on the shelves. Start small, 1 or 2 copies max, unless they ask for more. I've had people want 5. I think the most I've sent is 5, which is wild. And that was by their request. I never said a word about it. I never said, you know, I want to send you 5. Like, I leave it up to them. So surprisingly, I've had someone ask for 5. I had someone in Cleveland ask for 8, but they never got back to me about it. So I don't know if that's ever gonna happen or not, but they initially asked me for 8 copies because they just love the album so much, which is great. But yeah, that hasn't come to fruition, but I think it was wild that they even asked for that many. Be humble about your artist's reach and your label's popularity. So if you're representing yourself, you got to be realistic. And what I've been doing, honestly, is trying to target record stores that sell my genre of music. So for me, I'm looking for instrumental albums, lo-fi, chill hop, hip hop, that sort of genre lane. A lot of the record stores will not even be selling that type of music. So you kind of got to research the record store beforehand to make sure, you know, are they carrying similar artists to the type of music that I make? Because obviously if you make pop music or you make country or any bigger genre, you'll probably be able to send it to almost anyone. So you'll have a little more flexibility. If you're someone like myself who makes music that's a little bit more niche and a little bit less popular, especially in the United States, like my genre of music isn't necessarily the most popular. So I've had to really research the record stores. Discogs has a great database of independent record stores. And what they do on there is they will tell you, here are the genres that they primarily sell. So I've been using that a lot because it's helped me to narrow it down. Like if I see, let's say there's a record store, they only do punk, prog rock, and alternative. And that's pretty much what they specialize in. Obviously, I'm not gonna send my album to them because my album is not that genre. So it wouldn't make sense. It would be a waste of time to even reach out. But if I find one that says, you know, hip hop, R&B, soul, jazz, I'm probably more inclined to do that because my album incorporates elements of those genres primarily. So I'm gonna reach out to them. So that's just something to keep in mind. If your album, I skipped a part, but number 4 is called have a competitive price. If your album is selling for $40 while everything else is $28, that's a problem. Research what similar records are going for in their store and online. Make your release realistically priced for their customers. Offer a healthy margin that still makes sense for you. Have locals only pricing to entice new listeners. Like I said, for myself, I'm selling these $30 myself on Bandcamp. If I'm doing wholesale to anyone, I'm usually selling it for $20. That way they can mark the price up and then, like I said, get their cut from there. I don't know the pricing thing because I really feel like it is just a free-for-all. You know, I've seen independent artists that are selling their vinyl for $50 just outright. You know, it's like, I believe in my work and I believe in the stuff I have, but I'm probably never going to sell a vinyl for $50 personally. I think that's a bit much. To me, anywhere from the 20 to 40 range, somewhere in there is where you want to kind of aim for. But again, I think that's just capitalism. You can kind of do whatever you want. But I agree with this article. I think you should research. And it goes back into the being realistic thing. Are people really going to pay that much for what you're selling? And if you've had results selling for like 50, go ahead. But definitely when you're working with record stores, you gotta price it down a lot lower, because if they are gonna pay you outright, they're gonna pay you a wholesale price. They're probably not gonna pay you what you're selling it for on your own. So just keep that in mind. Number 5 is be generous and thankful. The record store is your partner. Treat them like one. Drop off a thank you note, or better yet, a bottle of wine, buy a record in their shop, or a limited test pressing. When I went to State Street Records and talked to the owner there, we had a nice conversation, probably like 20 some minutes, and I made sure that I bought some records from him too, because I was like, I'm not just here to push this thing that I have. Like, I want to support your business. I want to support what you're doing, because I know how difficult that is. So yeah, definitely make sure to support these businesses. And another thing too, a lot of these record stores will, if they're very active on social media, they'll post your album and say, you might be part of like the week's new releases or something like that. Always make sure to repost. If they send you like an Instagram collaboration post, like accept it, push it. Even if you don't live near that record store, that's a way that you can help promote it. And just to let people know that your record is in that store. Like, do your part. If the record store is trying to help you out with promotion, definitely, take that with the utmost respect, and just treat them the way that you want to be treated in these situations. Because that for me has been a big thing. And that's definitely something that will help you not only sell stuff in their store, but hopefully gain new fans in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. And that is actually the 6th point. It says promote their store. Don't just drop your record off and disappear. Use your Bandcamp to direct local sales to their shop. Share their store on your social channels. Take photos of your record in their store and tag them online. Encourage your fans to buy local. And that's something I try to do, especially with the couple shops that are in my area. I try to let people know about their other events. State Street always posts their weekly schedule of when they're open. So I try to repost that every week and let people know, here are the hours for the store. Definitely go check them out. Erie Street has events all the time. So I try to, promote their stuff as much as I can too. Just things like that, little things. It doesn't even have to be related to your release. Just show them that you're still, actively participating in what they're doing, and in turn they're gonna probably keep pushing your stuff as well. So that is the article. Very concise, very simple. Definitely check it out. It's gonna be in the description of the video. The other one is by Atomic Disc, and it's called How to Sell Your CDs and Vinyl at Local Record Stores. Kind of similar. Let me open this real quick. I think it might have a little more to it than the other one. That's why I just wanted to cover the other one today. Yeah, it's a little more in depth. It does have a lot more things going on, but there are some different points in that one that I think are also important. But again, that's pretty much my experience so far. And I'm just shocked because I don't even know if I expected to be able to partner with so many people this year in the first year of doing it. I really, this was something that I knew nothing about. I really didn't know even how to go about it at first. I knew nothing about physical media or consignment or even shipping. Like, I've had to figure out how to ship things and keep track of shipping and all that sort of thing, do tracking numbers, all that stuff. It's all been a learning curve. But I think I would suggest, if you are looking to do this, just kind of dive right in and see what you can do, and just experiment with the ways that you're reaching out to people. Like I said, if you are a phone call person, maybe try calling some of these record stores. But before you do anything, just research each place. Kind of come up with a good list based on the genre that you're trying to sell or that you're trying to push, of your release, and then start reaching out and just be professional. I would keep it very concise at first and just ask them if they're even interested, and then from there you can kind of expand. If they get back to you and they say yes, then you can kind of expand on the rest of the information. Don't overwhelm them with a billion paragraphs in the first email. Just keep it concise. Definitely share images, share the music. Like I said, my method has been a little different, but share the music, share images of what you're trying to push. It helps that they can see it. A lot of people have gotten back to me just off the sheer, just off of liking the images. Like, I had my brother take a lot of awesome photos of the vinyl, so I sent most of those in the email. And that way, visually, they can look at what are they getting. What does this product look like? And a lot of them just love the colored vinyl, and they're like, wow, that looks amazing. Would definitely love to have that. And that's before they even hear the music. So it's like, they, make sure they can see it, really get some nice shots of whatever it is. And yeah, I wish everybody the best on partnering with some record stores out there. Because like I said, I never thought I'd be doing it, but now I've developed some nice relationships, and hopefully when I do my next physical release, I can get more copies of that into those record stores again. But you got to start somewhere. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Definitely check out other record labels. They have a lot more stuff on this topic. But next week we are going to be back on December 2nd talking about the importance of word of mouth. And I guess this one kind of plays into the vinyl and going out to stores and going out and pushing your music to people. It's kind of an extension of that, but we're going to kind of be talking about ways to do it, even through the internet. How can you collaborate with people, and then from there you develop that relationship, and it might lead to another relationship, and so on and so on. How that works for collaboration, but how that works for, getting fans as well. Because I think it can work for both in pretty crazy ways. I might kind of expand on ways that I've done it in the past, but I'll try to find some articles that talk about the importance of doing it, especially in the modern era where a lot of us don't know how to do it, or a lot of us might not know all the ways we can do it. So yeah, next week, December 2nd. But until then, stay safe, stay positive as always. I hope you guys have a good holiday this week, Thanksgiving, wherever you're based. I don't know if you guys celebrate stuff, everywhere, but enjoy the holiday season here. And I know we got some more holidays here coming up, so stay safe, stay positive as always. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on the 2nd. Take care, guys.